Welcome back to the Professor's Lab. I'm Professor V, and this is round 1 of our league challenge that happened at Die Hard Games on November 21st, 2024. If you didn't know, Die Hard League happens every Thursday at 6 p.m. Central, featuring casual and tournament play of whatever format everyone wants. League Challenge Thursday, December 19th at 6 p.m. Central Time at Die Hard Games. Go see more info in this video's description and check out Pokemon's event locator for premiere and other events at the shop, such as league challenges, league cups, pre-releases, and more. Please hit that like button right quick, subscribe to this channel, ring the bell for notifications, say what you need to say in the comments, and all that other good free stuff. But anyways, let's research this game. On the left-hand side, we have Terapagos. On the right, we have Roaring Moon. Looks like our Terapagos player on the left-hand side is going first, starting with that Terapagos EX, benching that Bouffalant and Pidgey, and then playing a Buddy Buddy Poffin. That item card lets them search their deck for up to 2 basic Pokemon with 70 HP or less to add to the bench. We could already see that Fan Rotom being eyed up here, and the player is taking the opportunity to look through their deck and seeing the contents of it, as they decide upon the Fan Rotom and Hoot Hoot with that Buddy Buddy Poffin. Next, Fan Rotom will use its Fan Call ability to search the deck for 3 colorless Pokemon with 100 HP or less to put into the hand. We got some fire pools going on today as well. On the right hand side, it looks like Noctowl and Bouffalant are being eyed up off of the Fan Rotom Fan Call. You can only use that ability on your first turn, of course. And the third Pokemon off the Fan Call will be a Bidoof. Crazy, the search that the Fan Call provides. Kind of reminds me of Hoopa EX from back in the day. The second Bouffalant is put down. The Curly Wall is online. Basic colorless Pokemon get minus 60 when they're attacked. Gift Energy attached to the Fan Rotom onto the bench, and play is passed over to our Roaring Moon player. Starts with that baby Roaring Moon, benches a Radiant Greninja, and then plays the Earthen Vessel. That item card has you discard a card to search your deck for up to 2 basic energy. Basic Darkness discarded, 2 basic Darkness put into the hand from the deck, and then Radiant Greninja uses its Concealed Cards ability to discard an energy and draw 2 cards. Next is a Pokegear 3.0. Look at the top 7 and find the supporter there to add to your hand. And the Pokegear finds the Iono. I don't know if that's the supporter our Roaring Moon player was after. Usually they're wanting to play Professor Sada's Vitality every turn if they can, depending on the situation, of course, but we'll take a card off of that Pokegear 3.0. Let's see what else they got for us here. Taking a good look at the hand and trying to determine the best next play, and it actually is that Iono. Again, they would have liked to play the Professor Sada's Vitality here to accelerate energy from the discard pile to ancient Pokemon in play, but you gotta do what you gotta do. Iono, both players shuffle their hands, put them at the bottom of their deck, and then draw cards from the top equal to their remaining prize cards. Stop Stadium put into play, followed by a Nest Ball. Nest Ball searches the deck for a basic Pokemon to add to the bench, and we are now going to establish that Roaring Moon EX. So far, it's looking okay for both of our players, although we'd like to see a KO on this Terapagos turn 1. So Pokegear 3.0 will discard the top 3 cards of the deck and add any item cards discarded that way into hand. Looked like there were a couple hits there. Yep. Ultra Ball and Nest Ball added to the hand. Roaring Moon EX hits the discard pile. Not the worst thing in the world, as this deck usually plays 4 Roaring Moon EX. And it looks like the Nest Ball was played next to bring out another basic to the party. And it's that Squawkabilly. Okay. With its Squawk and Seize ability. Ultra Ball is now played, discarding Pokestop and canceling Cologne to search the deck for a Pokemon. Could be basic or evolution. This deck plays all basics, basically. And that Petron EX will join the party here on the bench with its powerful Subjugating Chains ability. We'll get into that more once it gets used here. Energy attached to the bench Roaring Moon, oh no, and then Squawkin' Seas discards a Professor Sawdust Vitality to draw 6 fresh new cards. That ability can only be used on the player's first turn, of course. And looks like another Nest Ball was found, bringing out another Roaring Moon EX. So our board is looking very established on the right-hand side here now. The only thing that was missing was the turn 1 attack and potential KO that this deck likes to do. Next is Pokemon Catcher, flip a coin, tails, so it's a blank card. If it was heads, it'd act like a boss's orders on an item, and things are passed back over to our Terapagos player, who immediately plays a Hisuian Heavy Ball to look at the prize cards, and they could switch the Heavy Ball with a basic Pokemon that's in the prize cards. That Radiant Jirachi is now liberated here. Gonna get the Radiant Jirachi text ready to go as the player plays an Iono. Both players shuffle the hand, put it at the bottom of their deck, and then draw cards equal to their remaining prize cards. Let's see if our Terapagos player can get a KO this turn. There is an Ultra Ball, so that discards 2 cards to search the deck for a Pokemon, basic or evolution, and you could search out that Jewel-Seeking Noctowl. Noctowl and its Jewel Seeker ability, if there's a Terra Pokemon in play, when Noctowl evolves, you could search your deck for up to 2 trainer cards to add to the hand. Wonder if we're going to establish the Pidgeot here, and it looks like it, as the Feather Ball is one of the trainer cards Noctowl will seek out, as well as that Rare Candy classic combo here. Feather Ball now played to search the deck for a Pokemon with Free Retreat. That Pidgeot EX does have it, so Rare Candy allows the Pidgey to evolve right into that Pidgeot EX. We have a quick search online now and being used here. Pidgeot EX has the quick search ability that allows you to search your deck for 1 card once a turn. So good. So now what is the best card to have? And it looks like that Sharon's Care is being eyed up here. I think that was the grab here for next turn. I think Sharon's Care requires damage counters on the Pokemon basic, or excuse me, the colorless Pokemon in order to add it back to the hand from play. So just preparing for next turn potentially. Yeah, it doesn't seem like there's going to be an attack here. As we are getting those fire pools, we got a double multitasking video here as our Terapagos player just passes actually. So playing a little more defense here as our Roaring Moon player starts their turn off with another Earthen Vessel, discarding another basic Darkness Energy to search the deck for up to 2 basic Darkness Energy to add to the hand. Now, Darkness Energy in the discard pile is not a bad thing because the Roaring Moon deck plays cards that can accelerate that Darkness Energy from the discard pile into the Pokemon in play. With the Professor Sawdust Vitality and Dark Patch, it looks like we're seeing another Earthen Vessel. The difference between these two decks, defense versus aggression here, is Earthen Vessel finds 2 more basic Darkness Energy. I wonder if there are even any left in that deck currently. Now the Petrant EX has a Subjugating Chains ability. You can move a Darkness Pokemon into the active spot from the bench, and then that new active Pokemon is poison. So it definitely adds some mobility to this side of the field. As a Trekking Shoes is played, that item card has you draw a card, and then you can either keep it or discard it and draw 1 more card. And as always, Trekking Shoes comes in pairs, so we're going to see another one played here. Filling up the hand, trying to get as many options there. Next is Pokestop, discarding the top 3 all items, so it's basically just draw 3. Another Trekking Shoes, discarding that Nest Ball, keeping that next card. You could see this Roaring Moon deck flying through itself as Radiant Greninja now uses concealed cards to discard an energy and draw 2 more cards. I wonder how many cards are in that hand. There has to be a Professor Sawdust Vitality that we're seeing played now to accelerate a Darkness Energy to 2 Ancient Pokemon in play from the discard pile. The Roaring Moon EX on the bench, both of them are getting powered up here, and then the player draws 3 more cards thanks to the Professor Sawdust Vitality. It's like, what, 5 or 6 cards left in deck currently. Enough turns for the Roaring Moon player to win the game to take all 6 of their prize cards. The race is on. I think there just needs to be a Darkness Energy in hand as Trekking Shoes draws another card. I think that was the Pal Pad there. That will be good to shuffle back into the deck some supporters from the discard pile. 2, in fact. Next is Dark Patch, accelerating a Darkness Energy from the discard pile to a bench Darkness Pokemon. That Roaring Moon EX on the bench is now powered up with 3 energy on it. Alright, Pokemon Catcher. Flip a coin. Tails. Another Pokemon Catcher. Heads. So bring up that Pidgeot EX. Oh my goodness. The Darkness player wisely going after the only searching cards on board for our Terapagos player here. Double checking how many cards in the deck. You don't want to deck out if you can't draw a card at the beginning of your turn. That is a lose condition in the Pokemon trading card game. So very important to be aware of. As another Dark Patch is played, accelerating another Darkness Energy onto that other Roaring Moon EX. Almost setting up a checkmate scenario already. Now Petron EX uses Subjugating Chains to move that powered up Roaring Moon EX into the active spot, at the cost of being poisoned, of course. And now Roaring Moon EX will use its Frenzied Gouging attack to knock out the opposing Pidgeot EX and dealing 200 damage to itself with the Poison Tick. That Roaring Moon EX will have 20 HP remaining. Fan Rotom flies into the active spot on the left-hand side and play resumes over there. How can our Terapagos player respond? The KO is easy. It's already there with the Fan Rotom and the Stadium in play. So that's all our players got to do here. Fan Rotom has the Assault Landing attack for a color synergy. 70 damage if there is no Stadium in play. This attack does nothing, but 70 is good to go and enough to KO the opposing Roaring Moon EX for 2 prize cards. Let's see who our Darkness player decides to promote. I have a feeling it's this Roaring Moon EX that's almost powered up. And let's just hope they've got a Gusting card in hand to keep up with the 2/2/2 prize trade. Another Roaring Moon EX, the golden one, put onto the bench now. Hopefully there is a Professor Sawdust Vitality in hand. At least there's a Darkness Energy attached to the active Roaring Moon EX. Dark Patch accelerates a Darkness Energy from the discard to the new bench golden Roaring Moon EX. I guess they don't need Professor Sawdust this turn, as there is a Boss's Orders in hand. Boss's Orders will knock out that Terapagos EX with a Frenzied Gouging, but you see the player on the left has the response on board with the Fan Rotom Energy Stadium in play. So we're just going to go for the race here. Boss's Orders bring up that Terapagos EX into the active spot, and actually a Calamity Storm. Interesting. So Calamity Storm will deal 220 damage to the opposing Pokemon. It's going to be reduced by 60 thanks to the double Boufflant in play and its Curly Wall ability online. But our Darkness player saw the Terapagos player grab a Sharon's Care, so this damage in turn essentially could just get erased here, but maybe they're playing the long game, getting that Stadium out of play, and then the Fan Rotom can't attack anymore, so they could use Frenzied Gouging in future turns, but you just have exhausted your Boss's Orders. So we'll see how it works out for our player here. I'm just getting too deep here in the Professor's lab, as the Roaring Moon EX uses Calamity Storm discarding the stadium in play, so it does 220 damage, minus 60, and that's what we see on the Terapagos EX, I believe. And play continues over on their side. Sharon's Care now will pick up the Terapagos EX, put it back in the hand, erasing all of that damage there. The Terapagos gets immediately put back down onto the bench. The Fan Rotom, of course, took its place in the active spot. Over on the left here, double turbo energy attached to that Terapagos EX to prepare it for an attack. Our player does not really want to bench that Arceus as another target to KO by the Roaring Moon EX, so they're going to play a basic switch to switch into that Terapagos EX with the energy and just swing. Yep. So Terapagos EX has the Unified Beatdown attack 30 times each of your bench Pokemon. So we got 420 damage being dealt to that Roaring Moon. So that way, if it uses its Frenzied Gouging attack to deal 200 damage to KO the Terapagos, it will KO itself as well. So play continues over on our Darkness side on the right here as they attach an energy to the bench Golden Roaring Moon EX. If they can attack with that one, that would be pretty decent here. I mean, you have the Fan Rotom knocking you out if the Terapagos player can find a stadium to put into play. But that's not too bad, because you force them to have the stadium. And it looks like they're living on top decks now with the Pidgeot EX removed from play and that powerful Quick Search ability. So Professor Sada's Vitality, Accelerate an energy to that bench Roaring Moon and draw 3 cards. 2 cards left in the deck, it looks like. Let's see how our player wants to navigate this mid to end game here as they check out their discard pile. See what's in there. I see a Pal Pad in the future here that gets played to shuffle back into the deck from the discard pile. The Iono and the Boss's Orders, the 2 supporters there. Reloading the deck a little bit so they've got some more turns left in this game to finish it out. I wonder if they probably do not go for the self-KO here, right? They actually just are. Alright, Frenzied Gouging KOs the opposing active, also deals 200 damage to the Roaring Moon EX. Since it had damage counters on it, it knocked itself out. And players are suddenly tied here. 2 prize cards, 2 prize cards. Baby Roaring Moon in the active on the right, Fan Rotom in the active on the left, and play will resume there. We've got Terapagos Double Turbo in hand. Can our Terapagos player have a explosive turn here? Hisuian Heavy Ball being played again, looking at the prize cards, no basics there. So let's just shuffle them back up, place them out, discard that Hisuian Heavy Ball, and move on to the next action of Arven. That supporter card allows the player to search their deck for an item card and a tool card to add to the hand. Let's see what tricks they've got up their sleeve to respond here as they find a Nest Ball. They're debating on the Nest Ball or the Buddy Buddy Poffin. Also important to note, the Roaring Moon player offered a 1 prize Roaring Moon here. So that way if the Terapagos player will get a KO on the 1 prizer, they've got another turn since there's 2 prize cards remaining for them. Arven's actually debating on grabbing this Ultra Ball and locked in since the deck is being shuffled. The tool card will be that Ace Spec Hero's Cape. Whenever that's attached to a Pokemon, it gives that Pokemon plus 100 HP. So that gets attached to the Fan Rotom. Intense here. That Fan Rotom now has 170 HP. As our Terapagos player checks out the Roaring Moon player's discard pile and doing a count on those dark patches there. Looked like there were 3 played already. Just getting a good inventory on the opponent's discard pile, downloading as much information as possible in order to keep up and achieve victory here in round 1 of the League Challenge. Now we're going to play that Ultra Ball discarding Arceus V and Terapagos EX in order to search the deck for a Pokemon, basic or evolution. Pheasantipity is an option to draw some more cards. They're debating on a Hoot Hoot for next turn, or they can go all in on this Jirachi. That wouldn't be a bad idea either. This player's signature for sure. But gonna decide on the Hoot Hoot, the Gen 2 Owl. That just makes me think of playing Silver version as a kid with my Wormlight. Good times here as our players shuffling up and getting ready for their next move. With the Hero's Cape on the active, it makes me think they are going to keep that there as they put a double turbo energy on the Noctowl, and they're actually playing the basic switch to switch into that Noctowl, making it active. Now I got to look up Noctowl's attack speed wing, 60 minus 20 because of the double turbo, so 40. What has this game come to? Yep, Noctowl attacks speed wing for 40. Now, can our Roaring Moon player close things out? And it looks like no, because you see the Terapagos player left only single prize Pokemon in play. So our Roaring Moon player cannot win this turn. Let's see how they respond. First, they put a Pokestop into play. Next is that Prime Catcher, that pink Ace Spec card item. Acts like a Guzma for you Sun and Moon players here. Basically, you bring up an opponent's bench Pokemon into the active spot, and then you do the same over on your side. So the Bouffalant is targeted, okay, and then the Roaring Moon EX moves into the active spot on the darkness side on the right. A Calamity Storm will get the KO here. So our Roaring Moon EX doesn't have to damage itself heavily with the Frenzied Gouging. And there we go, Calamity Storm discarding that Stadium, 220 damage. Enough to KO the Bouffalant, even with the damage reduction of Curly Wall. Fan Rotom. Defensive Fan Rotom. What is it? Heroic Fan Rotom. Floats into the active spot and play resumes on its side. There is a Night Stretcher in hand, but I think our Terapagos player was assuming the Noctowl would get knocked out. Is there a Noctowl in the discard pile? They're debating on going with this Nest Ball first, and they commit to it in order to search the deck first, establish that Pheasantipity, and also see what else is in deck. With the one prize card remaining for the opponent, there is no punish for this Pheasantipity entering play. So Pheasantipity joins the party now with its Flip the Script ability. If there was a KO during the opponent's last turn, if the opponent took a KO on their last turn, you could draw 3 cards. We see that Flip the Script there. Is it enough to change the course of this endgame? Nope, it looks like our Terapagos player does not see an out and concedes. What an explosive way to start this round 1 of our tournament. What do you guys think of this video and the commentary? Please leave feedback in the comments. Like this video, subscribe to this channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time in the Professor's Lab.